Okay, so if you already did this, you're just making sure that it winds up the same. If you didn't do this, we are doing it right now. Okay, so you had the vocab at the beginning that told you, and I think I had it flipped. I said perpendicular bisector was the first one. Okay, it really doesn't matter as long as you have one of each. Okay, so if you flip them, make sure you change the notation. So like if you did the sides on this one, then we want to change that because what you write with them is different, okay, with the angle bisector in them. So we're going to write something in just a minute. Okay, so for angle bisector, so this was just abbreviated. This is one where you go to one of the angles, you choose an opening, and you swing through the two sides to make an arc, okay? And then you take that same opening and now go to where the arc crosses the two sides, and you swing on the inside to make an X, swing on an inside to, oops, just moved. Swing on the inside to make an X. So where that X is at is now where you'll connect to the vertex of that angle and draw the angle bisector, okay? So we're going to do that to all three angles. Okay, so now I'm going to my other angle. Okay, I just choose an opening, swings through the two sides. That same opening, I go now where it crossed the side. I swing on the inside, go to this side, swing on the inside. So that is where I'm connecting now back to my vertex. Okay, in that paragraph where your vocab was at, what did we say must happen with all three of those lines? They must all intersect at a single point. And if not, then there's something either wrong with all of them or one of them. You just have to go back and check. Because sometimes when you get all these X's in here, sometimes you connect to the wrong crossing. Okay, so just keeping track of where your arcs are at and paying attention to the ones that you just made. Okay, so I'm going to swing. Okay, swing. See, I'm getting a bunch of arcs in there, so I'm just paying attention to the one that I just made. Okay, and swing. So it's going to connect. Maybe my protractor doesn't get hung up. Okay, where my X is at. Okay, so all three of your lines, if you did it properly, should intersect at that single point, which is right in the middle. Okay, so if it doesn't, and you can see a triangle in there where it crosses at, that they don't all intersect, then that means like one or two of your lines you need to change. Okay, so next to this one where we have angle bisector, we're going to create an inscribed circle, which was one of your vocab words. Okay, so next to where it says angle bisector, and I'll zoom in so you can see this, I want you to write this. Okay, and this is just going to kind of be the steps to remind you what it is for us to create the circle, and we're going to practice doing that. So inscribed circle is what we get from the angle bisector, and we put our point on the intersection, the pencil to a side, and we make sure that where the pencil is at, that it's forming a 90-degree angle with that side, and then we'll make our circle. And we're going to make the inscribed circle, so it's going to be on the inside of the shape, which you had the vocab in a drawing example of. So inscribed circle is for angle bisector. Okay, so while you're writing that, I'm going to get started on making our circle. Okay, so we put our point, the point of our compass, where all three of those lines intersect at. Okay, and then we make sure that our pencil, when it goes to one of the sides, it does not matter which one of the sides, but the pencil can't just be any random spot to the side. It needs to, when it goes there, so if I were to draw a line to that side, it needs to appear like it's 90 degrees to that side. Okay, so if I were to lay my pencil down here, okay, then if I were to draw a line from here to here, I would know that that makes 90 degrees. Okay, that's where I want my pencil at. Okay, we good? Okay, then from there, all you're doing, and it depends on how you work with your compass, you're either spinning the paper or spinning the compass, okay? And when you make, oops, I just moved it. Okay, when you spin this circle, when you do it, should touch all three sides, the inscribed circle. If it's barely outside of the triangle or barely inside, it's going to be close enough. It needs to be no more than like a pencil width away from the side. If it is outside or inside, then that means you didn't go 90 degrees to the side. So sometimes you might want to spin your paper just to check to make sure it touches all three sides before you actually make the circle itself. You have to adjust a little bit. Okay? So you're trying that right now. So it needs to go, the point goes here, the pencil comes to either 90 here, so like you could draw a line here, or a 90 here. It's not just anywhere to a side, it needs to go 90 to the side. Yes?
I just need like the last part.
Oh, the words?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So remember, if you get behind on this, okay, there's going to be, I'm recording right now, so you can get back on the calendar and go back and fix anything, just so we can keep moving. Yep. Okay, we good? Okay, so angle bisector is an inscribed circle. So when they say make the inscribed circle and you're like, which one is it? Then you would go back until you practice this enough, you'll have it memorized. But it's the angle bisector, not the sides. Okay? All right, so now we are going to the perpendicular bisector, which is the sides. Okay, that's forming 90 degrees with the sides, not the angles. So if you did angles, erase it. Like, we need to fix that. Okay, so this is with the sides. Okay, so when we do that, one of the methods that you learned in the book that we took a test on a while ago was to open your pencil so it's more than half the distance of that segment. Okay, not here, because that'd be less than half, and not where it looks like it would be the middle. You need to make it an obvious it's more than half. Okay, and we know when we make that line that it's going to be going like this. Okay, so some of you will make the full half circle, which is fine. Okay, but whatever that opening was that I just made that, we keep that same opening, and now I go to the other side of that segment, and I don't need to make the full half circle. I just need it to cross what I already did. Okay, so I have one there and one there, because then it'll save you like not getting confused on where you're crossing things. Okay, so where this X is at and this X is at, you're going to take a straight edge, and that's your first perpendicular bisector. So it splits the side in half and makes a 90-degree angle. Okay, we good? Okay, now I got two other sides to do that too. So I'm just going to turn my paper. Okay, I just make sure, and you can keep the same one as long as it goes more than half, okay, which it does for this one. Okay, so I'm swinging below the line because I know it's going to be about below the line and above the line. Okay, then I go to the other side of that segment, and I just make sure I'm crossing the one that I just did. Okay, so I have an X there and an X there, and again, notice I have multiple X's, so just be paying attention to which ones are the X's that you're lining up to.
Please excuse the interruption. We have a white GMC truck on the south side of the gym with their lights on. License plate 10RCA. Thank you.
Okay, so I just did this side, I did this side, so now I have this side that I need to do. Okay, so it's probably not going to work for the opening that I had before, because that looks like that's less than half. So I want to make sure it's more than half. So I'm going to have to move my compass on this one. Okay, so my line's going to go this way. Okay, so I'm swinging below the line, above the line. Again, if you want to make the full arc, you can. Okay, and then whatever that opening was, now I'm going to the other side. Okay, swing to make an X. Okay, swing to make an X. So I'm connecting to those two. And same thing with this one. All three of those lines should intersect at a single point. If not, then you got to go back and see which one was the wrong one. Okay, this one's a little bit easier to see which one is the wrong one, because you can obviously see, like, does that look like 90? Because if it didn't and it was kind of going at an angle, then that's more than likely the one you would have to go back and fix. Okay, so if you did this right, this meets on this side of the right triangle. Anybody remember what, I know it's not one of your vocab words, but what is this long side called on your right triangle? Hypotenuse. Okay, so on a right triangle, always, it will meet right there. Okay, different triangles we're going to learn about acute and obtuse, they'll meet in different spots. Okay, All right, so that should meet on that long side. So if it didn't, then that means somewhere you were off on your lines. Regardless of the opening you chose, they should have all met right there. Okay? All right, so we're going to write something else on perpendicular bisector, just like we did with the angle bisector. Okay, so you're going to write circumscribed circle this time. The last one was the inscribed circle, which made it on the inside. Circumscribed is on the outside. So circumscribed circle, you're going to put the point on the intersection and a pencil out to an angle. Okay, and it doesn't matter, just like it didn't matter with the sides. It doesn't matter what angle you choose, it should still work out as long as you put your intersection point at the right spot. Okay, so we're going to make a circumscribed. So inscribed is for angles, angle bisectors. Circumscribed will be the sides. Okay, ready to try it? Okay, so now you're putting the point at the point of intersection, so the point of your compass, which is on the hypotenuse. Okay, and then you take your pencil, again, it does not matter, okay, it could be to that angle or to that angle, but when we do this, it's going to touch all three angles, okay? So I'm going to go to this one here. Yours, it doesn't matter, still going to be the same thing, okay? So now we're going to spin, it's going to be on the outside of the triangle, and it'll touch all three of the angles. Okay, so if it doesn't, again, you're in the wrong spot or didn't take it out to the angle. So it should touch all three of those angles. If it doesn't, that's the whole idea behind this section, is the relationship about where these triangles are at. Okay, and the relationship between the circle that was created. So it needs to either touch all three sides or it touches all three angles for you to get the points in this section. Okay, we good? Okay, it's not too bad. We're kind of putting together what we had before, and it's just a matter of memorizing, you know, which one gives you the circumscribed and which one gives you the inscribed. Okay? Okay, we good? Okay, so now the back page of your paper, which on mine it's on the flip side, what I want you to do, and I think you can do this, if you want to tear it off, you can tear it off if it makes it easier for you. But what I want you to do, so mine's not going to be like yours is. I'm going to have to describe it to you because when I flip it, you're going to see this because mine was on the back side. You had, oh wait, you have vocab back there. Never mind. We'll just do it on the front side. Okay. So what we're doing here, and I'm going to show you the notes in a second that's out of the book, but in the book, it talks about finishing out shapes. So this was an archaeologist find, and it was a broken plate.
Please excuse the interruption. We have another vehicle with your lights on. Dark blue Volkswagen Bug, parked by the band room, license plate 4C E8045. Thank you.
So they want you to finish out what the plate size was, the circumference of that. Okay, so that would be the circumscribed circle. So on a circumscribed circle, are we finding angles or the sides? Sides. We just did it, right? So before we can do that, we need to have a triangle. Okay, so what you're going to do on the first step, and I have these on here so that we don't have to, is we need to create a triangle. So this is kind of like what I was going to have you fold over the paper, but I forgot some of you did vocab on there. So this is just so we can see it's kind of outlined, okay, because I folded my paper over, okay. So you want to pick 3 points because it takes 3 points to make a triangle, okay. Any 3 points, okay, but we're trying to get the whole shape in there, so I just picked kind of what I thought was the highest point on the plate, okay, and then before the plate gets cut off, kind of like that end part right there, and then that one. So this isn't going to be a right triangle when we put it together. It's going to be more of an obtuse triangle.
Do you want us to do those point arcs?
Yeah, something similar to that. It won't be exact, okay, but whatever looks like kind of like at the highest point, and then this way, and then before the plate gets cut off. Okay, so with your straight edge, you're going to connect and draw your triangle. Okay, so you have 3 points on there, so you're just going to with a straight edge. And this is why I had you fold over, just because it was kind of dark, so it's sometimes kind of hard to see on that photocopy. But these are just notes, so we'll get it close enough. Okay, so we just said in order to get the circumscribed, we need to do the sides. We're doing the perpendicular bisectors. Okay, so this is the one where you pick a side, because you have to do it to all three sides. Okay, you're going to pick a side and you open it up further than halfway. Okay, it's what we just did on that last one. Oops, I went the wrong direction. Okay, so remember you open it up further than halfway, swing above and swing below, or make the full arc if you need to. And then you're going to connect to draw your lines and then switch to the new side. So if you do this right, when you get to this, you're going to notice that the intersection is not on the triangle. It's not inside the triangle. It's going to be way outside of the triangle. Okay, but make sure all three lines intersect each other because you need that intersection point to make your circle. If you need to use a pen or a Sharpie or anything like that, do that just so it's easier to see. So if you're choosing that side, just make sure that it's half, right? So you're going to swing so it's like this, right? Because that line needs to go like this. So you're going to swing above it. Go to the other side, swing above it. And then you'll do that to all of the sides. You're doing it to all three sides. So you have to draw commercial lines. You've got to connect this to this. Right, so drawing another one. These lines. All the way. Look how far out. There you go.
Okay, thank you.
So draw your line. Draw your line. So whatever one you just did, so that one right there, right? We're gonna go to the other side, make sure it crosses. So that same opening that you just used. Go there. Okay. So just cross. So just cross. Now we can draw the line there. So draw your lines, so you're not losing track of what you're. Well, you just have to put out a triangle. That's fine. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it's fine. As long as you have a triangle that you've done that to, you're going to get the same thing. It won't be exact. Okay, so those that are still making their lines, it should meet outside, regardless of what triangle you have. It should be meeting outside. It was, unless you had a right triangle, then it would meet on the long side. Okay, so now that last step, remember we put the point of your compass where your all three lines intersect at, right? And then we take our pencil out to the what? Angle, not to a side, right? Any one of your angles, because it's on the outside of the shape, right? Doesn't that make sense? Because you're making a circle, you want it to encompass that shape that's underneath it, okay? So you're going to put your point and take it out to one of the angles, okay? And then you're going to swing, and when you do that, it should encompass that triangle in all three spots to finish out the plate, okay? So again, goes to there, and it doesn't matter. Again, you can choose any of your angles, okay? Because it still has to touch all 3 angles, so it doesn't matter which one you do, okay? But you have to finish out your 3 lines. If you don't have your 3 lines, you're not going to know if they all intersected at a single point, and then something's off, so your circle won't turn out. Okay, you don't have to shade it. I just shaded it. Okay, we good? Okay, so now we're going to go to, after we explored this, we're going to go back and fill in some of our vocab. Okay, so you're going to go back to wherever your vocab is at. Get that open.